Or just the affair, that would be one thing, but the harassment.
All right,
Yeah, tough look for him.
Anyways, I don't think we should go that in depth on that.
No,
I think we should talk
Yeah.
about the implications for the Celtics season, not so much the scandal. Oh no!
Hi everyone, welcome back to, I guess, season 3 of the Sports Knowledgists podcast, the first episode of this semester. I'm Lexi Brenner. I'm here with
Brad Walver.
Pat Lyons.
James Howe.
Yay, got the new crew for the new year. So we're going to talk about a few things today. A lot has been going on in the sports world over the last, week and a half or so. First thing, I'm just going to have these guys humor me for a little bit and talk about tennis. Roger Federer announced his retirement after the Laver Cup last week. The Laver Cup is an exhibition event that switches locations every year, so this year it was in London. And he played his last match ever, which is crazy because he's been literally the greatest of all time since all of our lifetimes. So now tennis is going to have to really readjust into a post-Federer era. But for those of you who aren't tennis fans, so the rest of you in this podcast, was it still big news to hear? What were you guys' reactions and thoughts to that?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I thought he was retired. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay, that's fair.
But I think what stood out to me was Nadal teaming up with him in a doubles match for his final event. From what I can tell, they were bitter rivals, playing against each other. They were always one of the best. They were always the best in tennis. And for Nadal to be no, you know what? On his last match, I want to team with this guy. It shows the respect that he has in the tennis world. I mean, that stood out to me.
Yeah, there's these clips after their match of them
crying. They're all bawling.
So emotional.
I think you get that source of a brotherhood. So I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, even as not a diehard tennis fan or much of a tennis fan at all, it's still significant when someone of that stature retires in any sport. We really haven't seen much of that really in our lifetimes. I can think of Michael Phelps, Kobe Bryant, Peyton Manning,
Serena Williams.
Yes. Earlier this year.
Those are the only kind of that level athletes that have retired recently that I can think of. So even if it's a sport I don't necessarily really follow, seeing someone who is legitimately the greatest of all time in their sport, or at least in the conversation, that is just a really huge thing to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, from my understanding, it's almost as if LeBron James was to retire right now. I'm a big basketball fan, so that would be almost a pivotal moment, at least in my life, because I'm such a big diehard fan. But yeah, I saw a few clips of Federer and Nadal in their last match, and I think it was the last point, and then Federer lost it, but he went over the net and hugged Nadal, and it was just a really sweet moment, and you could tell even though they've been rivals forever, they're still they're so close because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for your thoughts on that. I mean, obviously I'm a huge tennis fan, as you guys already know, and probably people who watch the podcast already know from previous podcasts. So
our diehard fan base.
Yeah, our diehard fan base, including my dad, who left his newspaper here intentionally. So Providence Journal Sports section. Thanks, Dad.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was a Villanovan.
No.
Anywho.
No, my dad was here for Parents Weekend, and he was like, I'm going to leave my Providence Journal sports section in here, because I know you guys are filming the podcast this week. And I was like, alright, cool.
Appropriate.
It's got the Patriots on the front. We don't need to talk about that.
I know. So, but speaking of New England sports, though, nice segue there. There's been some drama surrounding the Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
I'm going to absolutely butcher his name, so, please don't judge. Ime Udoka? Is that
yeah,
correct?
spot on.
Is that spot on? Okay, perfect. Great. So he allegedly, I don't know if he ever officially admitted it, cheated on his girlfriend, wife, fiance, whoever he was with, his long-term partner, with a Celtics staffer, so somebody who's working for the Celtics organization. And a lot has unfolded since then. So what have you guys heard about that?
Yeah, I mean, without getting into too many of the details of the scandal itself, it was, the first reports were it was consensual but inappropriate, so I think a lot of people assume that means it wasn't reported to the proper people within the organization, especially since the punishment came down from the Celtics and not the NBA as a whole. So it's kind of an internal thing. So he got the year-long suspension for that, but then there's been some kind of like icky, bad stuff coming out since then that, some not great stuff happened after the relationship ended. So it's just, as a Celtics fan, it's a very ugly situation. And it's not really the kind of thing that you want to see happening going into a season where there's like so much excitement, Celtics being one of the favorites to win it all. That's definitely not the note you want to start the season on.
And like I'm a Celtics fan too, so when I saw this happening, I was like, Brad Stevens isn't still the coach. I didn't know that he wasn't the coach anymore, but that's my bad. I was like, shoot. But yeah, being a Celtics fan, like it doesn't help going into the season, I guess, because we did really well last year. So it's like trying to ride that high, but not anymore, I guess. James, what basketball team are you a fan of?
I'm gonna have to go with the Knicks. So
The Knicks,
I'm not
okay.
really a big Celtics
Sorry.
fan. I know. But I mean, I wanted them to win the finals. I was rooting for them in the finals, and
Good answer.
I like the team. But like especially with this, and then I know like Robert Williams with his big injury.
Yeah.
Gallinari, right?
Yeah.
It's like just a little disappointing because I think they're a good team. They can make it to the finals again. So it's tough. Yeah.
I think they'll get their footing under them eventually. The new guy who's taking over as the head coach, he's not some scrub. Like other teams were looking at him to be their head coach this offseason, so he's a really great assistant stepping up into a bigger role. But I would expect the Celtics to get off to a bumpy start. Missing their starting center, new coach coming in to start the year. They can definitely get it back on track, but I don't think we should expect the Celtics to come out, really hot to start the season. I think there could be some growing pains.
Yeah. The big thing for me, aside from all the drama of what's going on with Ime Udoka, is what's going on inside that locker room, right? This is a team that, under Brad Stevens, already had locker room issues that, from what we can tell last year, they overcame. Patty could probably speak to that a little bit more than I can. But now you have a coach that it's an organization issue, right? And now you're coming off of a finals loss and you're trying to get back there. How do you, let's hypothetically say, okay, well, his suspension runs out through the year. Are those guys really going to come into that locker room and be like, oh, hey, how's it going? How's a vacation? I just don't see a world where, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart are going to come into that locker room post 2022-23 season and be like, all right, yeah, let's just run it back. I think he's officially lost the locker room no matter what happens out of the suspension, and they're just gonna have to go on from there. I mean, I thought the Brad Stevens thing going into the front office was it was a big thing, but it turned out it wasn't. So now they've got to do it over again and get all the way back to the finals.
Yeah, I definitely have a hard time envisioning Ime Udoka coaching the Celtics again. Probably coaching in the NBA again, just with everything that's come out, which on one hand is a shame because he's a great coach, but on the other hand, when you do things like that,
How long have he been the coach for?
Only a year.
Okay.
So he coached for the one season, and then this happened.
I was gonna say, how long do you think this relationship was going on?
I don't know if it's worth speculating.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I want
Pat's
to know
like,
either.
don't talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so on to more exciting, happy news in sports. Aaron Judge has been hitting some milestones recently. So correct me if I'm wrong, but he now has 61 home runs this season, which ties the American League record. Does
Yes,
it? That's
does.
what I read. I don't know if
I have a
that's
point to
correct.
that, but we'll get
Okay, Brad, speak your truth.
So, I heard it from Roger Maris Jr. Obviously, Roger Maris, famed Yankee who hit 61 home runs, has had the record. Now it's tied with Aaron Judge. Came out and said last night that Aaron Judge, if he gets the 62 home runs, should have the MLB record for all-time home runs, and I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, it was fun with the steroid era, they could hit all these really far home runs, and they could hit so many of them, and if they didn't hit a home run, they were getting intentionally walked. Everyone looked up to him, everyone wanted to hit big home runs, but, I think with it being Aaron Judge and how nice of a player he is, how he's maintained his composure through everything, this last week was pretty stressful. Every at-bat tuning in across the world.
Brad's a Yankees fan, if you couldn't
Yeah,
tell.
I'm a huge Yankees fan. Pay the man, please. Don't let him go to the Mets. I swear. Anyway, but I think on top of him just being a good player, like he's a good person overall, and he deserves he deserves to be the captain. He deserves every penny in a contract year. It's like the dream season that's not over yet. We still need that 28th World Series championship, which Pat is a big fan of. Anyway,
I'm a Red Sox fan, so
he completely deserves it. He's the best player in the MLB, and yeah, I'm excited to wait for that 60-second home run.
Wow, tell us what you really think.
Sorry, I went in on that one. But
I don't have much to add as a Red Sox fan, but I will say I feel like there's a very good case to be made that this is the greatest contract year in the history of sports. Like, he came into the season like, oh, he needs to stay healthy. He really needs to like prove that he's worth X amount of money, and I don't think there's literally anything he could have done better.
No.
So even as a Red Sox fan, I can admit Aaron Judge pretty good at the whole baseball thing.
Wow, that's deep, Pat. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, ever since his rookie year when he hit 52, he's been, like on and off, plagued with injuries. So like it was really good to finally see him, completely healthy this season, and he showed like what he can do. And kind of to add to the whole steroids, yeah, like if he hit 62, there's no doubt that like he should be considered the MLB leader in a home runs in a single season, because every guy ahead of him, like it was really obvious that they used steroids when they hit. So. Yeah, also something I just wanted to add is that not only is he, leading the league in home runs, about to break the record for it, but he's on Triple Crown watch in the American League. He was on Triple Crown watch for the MLB in total, which would have been crazy because only 4 other people in history have done that. But he's still on watch for the American League. Right now he leads home runs by a lot, obviously, and then RBIs he's got pretty much locked in. But average is pretty close, but the hope is that he can get it, and then you would hope that people would choose him to be MVP over Ohtani, but people have some strange arguments. But
it's already happened once in history that they chose wrong for the AL MVP, but we don't need to go into that right now. That's another can of worms for another day.
Brad's gonna have a whole spin-off episode about that one.
Yeah.
Just you wait.
Seems like it. Brad's gonna hijack the VTV YouTube channel and he's gonna go off.
I don't have that power.
Alright, so is there anything else or like other things that have come up recently that you guys feel like, as Brad would say, opening up a can of worms about?
I mean, other than the NFL kicking off, the 2-0 teams that are left are what? The Dolphins and the Eagles?
The Dolphins and the Eagles.
So,
which
didn't expect that at all.
No, it's been a fun start to the NFL season. There's been a lot of parity, a lot of really like close games, big comebacks. There's no like clear best team, I don't think, which sets up for a really fun season.
Exactly. Yeah.
Go Patriots.
Go Patriots.
They're not going very far.
That's okay.
Sorry about that, but yeah. I had high hopes, but Pat didn't as a Pats fan, so that kind of sent me a red flag. I was like, oh, maybe they're not so good.
The defense is stellar.
Yeah, but got a quarterback. Still missing out from Brady. I get it.
All right. Well, then I guess that's all we have for you guys for this episode. We'll see you next time, and thanks for watching, and thanks for joining me, all of you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so until the next one, bye. Yay.
Sorry.
Okay, we're good.
Confident.
Holy